I do not come here to speak about ordinary love, the kind that is measured in sweet words or fleeting touches. I come to speak about a love so deep it outlasts the body, so true it echoes in the marrow of the bones. I say to you today, I love you soul and heart. There are loves that fade like morning dew, and then there are loves that stretch across lifetimes, across heartbreak, across silence, and still they stand unshaken. This is not about the roses that wilt after a week or the promises made only in good weather. This is about a love that reaches into the spirit, that binds not with chains but with freedom, that declares, I see you, I honor you, I love you. That kind of love is not just felt, it is lived, breathed, carried. And if you listen closely, you may discover it waiting inside your own chest. Stay with me, because what I share today is not just for the ears. It is for the soul that longs to be reminded what true love is, and for the heart that sometimes forgets its own power to give and to receive. When I say love is recognition beyond the body, I am speaking of a vision that does not stop at skin, does not pause at hair, does not cling to the curve of a smile or the beauty of a shape. I am speaking of a sight that travels deeper, a sight that has no need for the eyes. It is the kind of recognition that feels familiar even when you cannot explain why, the kind of knowing that touches your spirit before it touches your hand. For the body changes, it wrinkles, it bends, it weakens, it fades. But the soul, the essence, the fire burning within, that is untouchable, unchanging, unending. To love beyond the body is to say, I see you, not just for what you look like today, but for what you are beneath time, beneath struggle, beneath all disguises. The world trains us to look outward, to measure worth by faces, by shapes, by what can be displayed and admired. We are taught to love with our eyes first, to judge beauty in seconds, to believe attraction is the foundation of love. But attraction is only a spark. Recognition is the flame. Attraction draws you near, but recognition keeps you. It binds you not with demand, but with truth. When I say I love you soul and heart, I am saying I recognize you as more than a collection of features. I recognize the rhythm of your laughter, the courage in your wounds, the quiet strength in your silence. And when you learn to see people in that way, you are never fooled by appearances again. Think about the way a mother looks at her child. The baby could be sick, crying, restless, yet the mother's love does not flicker. She is not loving a face, she is loving a being. She is not captured by the perfection of features. She is bound by a recognition that this child belongs to her heart. That is the same recognition the soul offers. It does not vanish when the skin changes. It does not break when youth departs. It holds because it was never built on the temporary. It was born of something eternal. To love beyond the body is to understand that what makes us beautiful cannot be seen with the eyes. The gentleness of a heart, the generosity of spirit, the courage to forgive, the faith to keep going when the world has tried to bury you, that is beauty. And when you love from that place, no season of life can erase your bond. You can hold the wrinkled hand of someone who once ran beside you in youth and still feel the same awe because your recognition was never tied to smoothness of skin or brightness of eyes. It was tied to the essence that does not age. Some people live their whole lives chasing after bodies, and when the body changes, so does their love. But that was never love. That was desire dressed up in a costume. True love strips away the costume and still remains. True love says, even when time rearranges your face, I will still know you. Even when memory betrays your mind, I will still find you. Even when the world forgets your name, I will still speak it inside me. That is recognition beyond the body. There is a reason we feel inexplicable connections with certain people. You meet them for the first time, yet something inside you whispers, I know you. That is soul recognition. It cannot be manufactured, cannot be forced, cannot be faked. It is not a product of rehearsed charm or practiced beauty. It is a meeting of truths. When one soul recognizes another, it is like hearing a song you did not know you remembered. You do not have to learn it. It rises up in you, and you sing along as if you have always known the words. The danger of body-only love is that it is fragile. It bends with time. It breaks with temptation. It crumbles when hardship strikes. But soul recognition is resilient. When the storms come, when the hair turns gray, when the face lines with worry, the recognition does not vanish. It says, I still see you. I saw you before, I see you now, and I will see you still. That is why the strongest bonds are not built on surface, they are built on spirit. And this is not only about romantic love. To recognize beyond the body is to see the humanity in every person. It is to look at someone who has been broken, someone who has been cast aside, and say, you are more than your circumstances. You are more than your mistakes. I see the light in you even when you cannot. Imagine a world where we all live this way. Imagine if we looked past the clothes, past the scars, past the labels, and chose to see the soul. Hatred would lose its power, judgment would lose its teeth, division would lose its grip. Because once you see a soul, you cannot unsee it. You cannot reduce a human being to an object once you have seen the spirit moving inside them. When I say love is recognition beyond the body, I am not saying the body is unworthy. The body is sacred. It carries us, protects us, expresses us. But it is a doorway, not the destination. It is a garment for the soul, not the soul itself. To stop at the body is to mistake the clothing for the person. To go beyond the body is to step into truth. And truth is where love finds its everlasting home. If you ever doubt whether your love is real, ask yourself, if every external thing were stripped away, would my heart still remain here? If beauty faded, if strength diminished, if memory weakened, would my love still hold? If the answer is yes, then you have seen beyond the body, you have loved the soul, and there is no stronger bond, no deeper vow, no greater truth than that. Love is freedom, not possession. Many people confuse the two and call their hunger for control love. They dress up their fears of abandonment with sweet promises, but what they really want is to hold another human being so tightly that there is no room left for growth, no space left for breath. But real love, soul-deep love, does not bind wrists or clip wings. It does not live in cages or shrink the spirit. It does not demand. It does not suffocate. It opens doors. It whispers, be everything you are meant to be, even if that means flying higher than I ever imagined. We live in a world where possession is praised. People are told to win someone, to own them, to claim them as theirs. But you cannot own another human soul. You cannot chain a spirit and still call it love. Possession is about fear. Fear of losing, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough. Freedom is about trust. Trusting that what is real cannot be stolen, that what is deep cannot be broken, that what is true will remain even when given wings to wander. Love as possession says, you belong to me. Love as freedom says, you belong with me. One demands, the other invites. One controls, the other honors. One shrinks, the other expands. And if you have ever tasted the difference, you know there is nothing sweeter, nothing more sacred than a love that lets you be fully yourself. Think of a garden. Possessive love builds walls so high that no sunlight enters, no breeze touches the flowers. It wants to keep the garden for itself, untouched by the world. But what happens to flowers without sunlight, without rain? They wither. Free love, on the other hand, opens the gates, allows the light in, lets the breeze dance through the leaves. It knows the flowers will not run away. It knows they will grow stronger, more radiant when they are nourished by freedom. Too many people mistake control for devotion. They say, I only want to keep you safe. I only want you close. But beneath those words is the trembling fear of loss. True devotion is not born from fear. True devotion is born from courage. The courage to love someone so deeply that you can let them go if they must go. The courage to celebrate their wings instead of breaking them. To love freely is to say, I do not need to chain you because my love is not a prison. It is a home you can always return to. There is an old truth. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it was yours. If not, it never was. But the deeper truth is this: nothing is ever yours. A person is not a possession, not a trophy, not a property. A soul cannot be owned. It can only be honored. To love freely is to live with open hands instead of clenched fists, to hold without holding back, to give without demanding return. And freedom does not mean absence of care. It does not mean neglect. It does not mean indifference. Freedom in love means you are trusted. It means your choices are respected. Your dreams are encouraged. Your individuality is celebrated. It means you can walk side by side without one dragging the other down. It means you can breathe without apology, shine without guilt, rise without restraint. Have you ever seen two birds in the sky flying together, but not chained, not tied, not bound? They soar beside one another, moving in rhythm, sometimes close, sometimes apart, but always together in spirit. That is love. Not tethered wings, not clipped feathers, but freedom shared. If one bird tries to bind the other, neither can fly. But if both are free, both rise higher than they could alone. Love as possession is insecure. It is always asking, do you love me? Will you leave me? Am I enough? Love as freedom is secure. It does not need to ask because it already knows. It does not fear tomorrow because it is grounded in truth today. It does not grasp because it trusts. It does not shrink because it expands. And here is the paradox. When you love someone with freedom, you are more likely to keep them close, for the heart longs for where it can breathe. The soul longs for where it can grow. If you make someone feel trapped, they will find a way out. If you make someone feel free, they will find a way back. The deepest love you will ever know is the love that refuses to chain you. It is the love that says, I see your dreams and I want you to chase them. I see your growth and I want you to flourish. I see your individuality and I want you to stand tall in it. That kind of love may not always be easy because freedom means risk. It means you cannot guarantee permanence. But permanence without freedom is not love, it is captivity. So many relationships suffer because one or both partners believe love is proven by sacrifice of self, by giving up identity, by becoming smaller to fit into the other's shadow. But true love does not ask you to erase yourself. It does not demand that you stop being who you are. It wants you fuller, louder, stronger. It wants you alive. And if it cannot handle the fullness of you, then it was never love. It was only possession in disguise. To love with freedom is to understand that the soul cannot bloom under control. It cannot shine under constant demand. It cannot breathe under heavy chains. It needs air, it needs light, it needs the courage of open space. And when you give someone that kind of love, you are not losing them. You are giving them the soil in which they can root, the sky in which they can soar, the home in which they can rest. If you love me, do not try to cage me. If you love me, do not try to keep me small. If you love me, let me breathe, let me rise, let me be. And I promise you this, a love that is free will always choose to stay, because love that is not chained is love that is alive. Love hears the silence between words. It does not rush to fill every quiet space with noise, nor does it panic when the air grows still. Real love leans into the silence and understands it as another form of language, one that speaks just as loudly as any sentence could. When I say I love you, soul and heart, I mean I hear you even when your lips do not move, even when your voice falters, even when you cannot find the courage to shape your pain into sound. Love knows how to listen to the unspoken. There are times when words cannot carry the weight of what we feel. Some truths are too heavy for language, some wounds too deep for explanation, some fears too fragile to name aloud. Yet love does not require translation. It does not wait for the perfect phrasing. It pays attention to the tremble in your breath, the pause before you answer, the way your eyes shift when you want to hide what you feel. In those subtle places, in those quiet pauses, love hears the truth. So many people listen only to what is said. They catch the sound but miss the meaning. They rush to respond, to argue, to advise without ever hearing the silence that lingers underneath. But silence is often where the soul speaks. Silence is where grief lingers, where longing hides, where hope waits to be invited forward. To love someone deeply is to give reverence to that silence, to hold it gently instead of forcing it to break. Imagine two people sitting together without speaking, and yet the air between them is thick with understanding. Their silence is not empty. It is full, overflowing with connection. They do not need to explain. They do not need to perform. They do not need to prove. Their silence itself is a form of communication. That is what love feels like. To be seen so completely that even when you cannot speak, you are still heard. Love pays attention to the sigh that escapes when you think no one notices. It hears the exhaustion in your stillness, the joy in your quiet smile, the sorrow in your lowered head. It does not need you to shout your pain. It feels it through the weight of your silence. Love does not demand constant expression. It allows you to rest in the safety of being understood without explanation. The world around us is loud. It teaches us to talk constantly, to perform, to prove, to explain ourselves endlessly. But love offers another rhythm. It says, you don't have to say everything. You don't have to find the words when you are too tired to speak. I can hear you in your silence. That is one of the greatest freedoms love gives us, the freedom to exist without always having to explain. Sometimes silence is grief. Sometimes it is anger. Sometimes it is peace. Sometimes it is healing. Love does not run away from silence. Love does not mistake silence for absence. Love knows silence is alive. It waits with you, patient and tender, until the words are ready to be spoken, or until the words are no longer necessary at all. Think of the way nature speaks. The ocean has its roar, yes, but it also has its still waters that say just as much. The trees have their rustling leaves, but they also have their steady presence in the quiet. The stars speak without a sound, and yet their message is eternal. Love works in the same way. It knows that sound is not the only language. Silence is also a voice, one that is often truer than the words we try to force. When two people truly love, they do not fear silence. They do not rush to fill it with meaningless chatter. They rest in it, they breathe in it, they honor it. Their silence becomes a comfort instead of a gap. It becomes a reminder that their connection does not need constant performance. It simply is. But not everyone can hear silence. To hear silence, your heart must be still enough to listen. You cannot carry noise inside yourself and expect to honor someone else's quiet. That is why love requires stillness, patience, humility. It requires us to put down our own need to talk, our own fear of emptiness, and simply be present. To hear silence is to surrender control, to trust that not everything must be named in order to be real. There is a kind of healing that happens only in silence. The presence of someone who loves you without demanding words can be more powerful than the most eloquent speech. To sit with someone in their grief without rushing them to explain, without urging them to speak before they are ready, that is love. To walk beside someone in their silence, holding their hand, steadying their spirit, that is love. And when silence is filled with joy, love hears that too. It hears the lightness of your steps, the way your laughter lingers even when the sound has faded, the way your eyes sparkle without a word. Love does not need you to say, "I am happy." It already knows. Silence to love is not empty. It is a canvas full of color. So many relationships fail because people only know how to listen to words. They overlook the silences, dismiss them as awkward, fear them as distance. But love grows strongest in the moments when nothing is said, yet everything is understood. That is where trust lives. That is where intimacy breathes. To love someone's soul and heart is to hear the voice behind their silence. It is to know when they need space, when they need presence, when they need to cry without being asked why. It is to recognize that sometimes the greatest gift is not advice, not explanation, but quiet understanding. Love hears the silence between words and holds it sacred. It does not rush to erase it. It does not fear it. It does not misjudge it. It accepts silence as part of the language of the soul. And in that acceptance, love becomes stronger, deeper, truer, because when you can be heard in your silence, you know you are loved in your entirety, not just for what you say, but for who you are. Love survives storms. It does not collapse when the winds rise. It does not dissolve when the sky darkens. It does not abandon its place when the rain falls heavy. It bends, it sways, it trembles perhaps, but it does not break. The world would have us believe that love is fragile, that it must be shielded from every hardship, hidden away from every trial, protected from every blow. But real love, soul-deep love, is not a delicate flower that wilts at the first sign of trouble. It is a tree with roots that run deep into the earth. Storms may strip its branches, storms may shake its trunk, but the roots remain. And when the storm passes, the tree still stands. When I say love survives storms, I mean that true love is not only alive in the sunshine of easy days. It is tested in the long nights of confusion, in the hours of disagreement, in the seasons of loss. Anyone can smile when skies are blue. Anyone can hold hands when life is kind. But love shows its strength when everything else shakes. Love is not proven by how it flourishes in comfort. Love is proven by how it endures in chaos. Storms come in many forms. They come as misunderstandings that make two people feel like strangers under the same roof. They come as distance when life pulls you into different directions and you must stretch to hold the bond. They come as loss when grief settles into your home and silence grows heavy. They come as change when the person you loved yesterday is not the same person you wake up beside today. And yet, even in all of these storms, love can survive. Not because it denies the storm, but because it refuses to let go. There is something sacred in choosing to stay when the storm rages, to say, I am not leaving, even though this is hard. I am not walking away, even though the ground beneath us trembles. That choice is love, not the easy love of sweet words, but the deeper love of commitment, of endurance, of loyalty. It is the love that says, we will find our way through this, not because it is easy, but because you are worth the struggle. Think of a ship at sea. Anyone can sail smoothly when the waters are calm. But the sailor's courage is tested when the waves rise and the storm lashes against the vessel. A ship that can endure the storm is a ship that can endure the sea. And love that can endure the storm is love that can endure a lifetime. There is a misconception that when storms come, love must end. People believe if it were truly love, there would be no storms. But storms are part of life. They are not proof that love has failed. They are proof that love is alive because only the living are tested by time. The presence of hardship does not mean the absence of love. It means love has been called to rise, to deepen, to strengthen. And yes, storms can hurt, they can leave scars, they can shake confidence, they can test patience, they can stretch hearts thin. But scars are not signs of weakness, they are signs of survival. Every storm endured becomes a testimony, a story that says, we went through the fire and we are still here. The bond that survives storms is not fragile, it is fortified. It carries within it the memory of trials and the victory of endurance. Sometimes storms reveal what is false. They show which bonds were only built on convenience, on attraction, on temporary need. Those loves fall apart in the rain because they were never rooted in truth. But when a love survives, when it stands even after the storm has passed, it proves itself real. Because only what is genuine can withstand what is difficult. And storms are not always external. Sometimes the storm lives inside you. Sometimes it is the battle with your own fears, your own insecurities, your own shadows. And yet, when someone loves you through your inner storm, when they see your darkness and refuse to run, that is love surviving. It does not walk away when you are not at your best. It does not vanish when you stumble. It stays, it holds, it endures. There is a tenderness in love that survives storms. It does not emerge cold or bitter. It emerges softer, wiser, deeper. It learns patience, it learns forgiveness, it learns resilience. Love that has weathered storms knows the value of calm, knows the sweetness of peace, but it does not fear the next wave. It has already proven that it can survive. Love is not about finding someone who will never hurt you, never challenge you, never test you. Love is about finding someone who is willing to hold on through the hurt, through the challenge, through the test. It is about building something so rooted that even when the branches are stripped bare, the roots keep reaching for life. And when the storm passes, and it always does, you look around and realize you are still together, still standing. There is a beauty in that survival that no easy day could ever match. There is a strength in that endurance that makes the bond unshakable. It is not the absence of storms that makes love great. It is the survival of storms that makes love unbreakable. So when I say love survives storms, I mean love is not a fragile thing to be feared or hidden. It is a strong, living force that can outlast the winds, endure the rains, and still rise when the sun returns. It is the tree with deep roots, the ship with strong sails, the light that does not go out even when the night is at its darkest. And if you have ever stood in the middle of a storm and found love still holding your hand, you know it is not ordinary. It is eternal. Love honors imperfection. It does not demand that you be flawless, polished, or unscarred before it chooses you. It does not wait for the day when you have erased every mistake or silenced every weakness. It looks at you as you are, wounded, uncertain, still learning, and it says, I will love you here. Too many people confuse love with admiration, believing that one must be without blemish to deserve affection. But admiration fades when flaws appear. Love deepens because of them. To love someone's soul and heart is to see the cracks and still believe they are whole. The world trains us to chase perfection. We are told to hide our scars, to cover our wrinkles, to bury our pain, to project only the brightest versions of ourselves. Social media teaches us to filter away our humanity. Culture tells us that love belongs to the flawless, but real love does not live in perfection. Real love is born in authenticity. It blooms in the places where we dare to be seen as we are. The one who truly loves you does not ask you to shrink your humanity into a mask. They invite you to take the mask off and let the world see your truth. Think of a piece of pottery repaired with gold in the ancient art of kintsugi. The cracks are not hidden, they are highlighted, filled with beauty. The brokenness becomes part of the art, part of the value. That is what love does to imperfection. It does not hide the scars, it reveres them. It says, "These are the marks of your survival. These are the proof that you endured." To love someone fully is to kiss the scar, to cradle the flaw, to honor the imperfection as part of the story. When love honors imperfection, it creates safety. Safety to stumble, safety to try, safety to grow. Without that safety, people pretend. They polish themselves until they are no longer real. But when you know you are loved, even in your weakness, you find the courage to show your truth. You find the courage to be vulnerable. You find the courage to stop hiding. And in that courage, intimacy is born. Love that requires perfection is shallow because it only lasts as long as the illusion does. But illusion always breaks. Age will come, mistakes will come, disappointment will come. If love cannot survive imperfection, it cannot survive life. But love that honors imperfection is eternal because it is rooted in truth. It sees not only who you are in your best moments, but also who you are in your worst, and it stays. Some people fear that if their flaws are revealed, they will be unlovable. They believe their mistakes disqualify them from affection, that their failures erase their worth. But the truth is, flaws are not the enemy of love. They are the invitation to it. To reveal your imperfection is to give someone the gift of your humanity. And the one who truly loves you will not turn away. They will draw closer because love is not afraid of what is real. Think of the times you have felt most connected to another person. Was it when they showed you their polished mask? Or was it when they cried, when they confessed, when they let you see the places they were broken? Vulnerability forges connection, and connection forges love. Perfection builds walls. Imperfection builds bridges. Love honors imperfection by holding space for growth. It does not demand that you remain broken, but it does not shame you for being so. It says, "I see your struggle, and I will walk beside you as you heal." That is the power of soul-deep love. It refuses to abandon you at your lowest. It refuses to measure you by your flaws. Instead, it sees the beauty of your becoming. There is a kind of love that only clings to your victories. It praises you when you shine, but it disappears when you fall. That is not love. That is applause. Applause ends when the performance ends. Love begins when the performance stops. Love is what holds your hand backstage, when the lights go out, when the mistakes echo louder than the cheers. Love honors your imperfection not as something to be ashamed of, but as something that makes you real, something that makes you human. And when you love someone else's imperfection, you free yourself. You stop expecting people to fit into the box of your comfort. You stop demanding they hide their wounds so you can feel safe. You allow them to be whole, which includes their cracks, their shadows, their jagged edges. You stop trying to sculpt them into your idea of perfection and instead honor them as they are. That kind of acceptance changes everything. Love is not blind to flaws. It sees them clearly, but it chooses not to let them define a person's worth. It chooses to honor the entire picture, the light and the dark, the strength and the weakness. In that way, love teaches us the deepest lesson. Perfection is not the requirement for being loved. Being human is. And when love honors imperfection, it becomes a mirror. It reflects back to us the truth that we too are lovable as we are, that our flaws do not cancel our beauty, our mistakes do not erase our value, that we too are worthy of affection, even in our rawest, most vulnerable state. To be loved in our imperfection is to be reminded that we are enough, even unfinished, even imperfect, even in process. So love honors imperfection by embracing it, by sanctifying it, by weaving it into the fabric of devotion. It says, I do not love you despite your flaws. I love you with them, through them, because they are part of you. And in that embrace, imperfection is no longer something to hide. It becomes something to share, something that makes love stronger, deeper, and infinitely more real. Love is a mirror and a light. When it is true, it shows you yourself in ways you could not see alone. It does not lie, it does not flatter, it does not distort. It reflects back to you both the beauty you forget and the shadows you deny. It holds up a mirror so you can recognize your worth, your strength, your tenderness, your resilience. And at the same time, it shines as a light, guiding you through darkness, illuminating the corners of your soul where fear hides and doubt lingers. When I say love is a mirror and a light, I mean it helps you see who you are and reminds you of who you can still become. So often we look in mirrors and only see what is wrong. We see the scars, the lines, the flaws, the stories of failure written on our faces. But love changes the way you see yourself. When someone loves you deeply, they hold up a mirror that does not mock you. It does not magnify your flaws. Instead, it shows you the truth, that you are worthy, that you are beautiful, that you are whole, even with the cracks. Love allows you to see yourself through gentler eyes, through eyes that do not judge but honor. And the beauty of this reflection is not only in how another sees you, it is in how love itself teaches you to see yourself. When you are loved unconditionally, you begin to question the harshness with which you have treated your own spirit. You begin to wonder why you have carried shame for so long, why you have doubted your worth so deeply. The mirror of love shows you what has always been there, but what you were too blind or too wounded to notice. It says, look, this is you, stronger than you know, softer than you allow, brighter than you believe. But love is not only a mirror of beauty, it also reflects your truth, even the parts you wish to ignore. Real love will show you your shadow, not to shame you, but to heal you. It will reveal your impatience, your fears, your insecurities, your weaknesses, and it will do so with tenderness. For what good is a mirror if it only shows half the face? Love does not expose you to condemn you. It exposes you so that you might grow. It says, I see this part of you too, and I am not leaving. Let us work with it together. That is the courage of love as a mirror. It tells the truth, but it tells it with grace. And beyond being a mirror, love is a light. It shines when everything else is dark. There are moments in life when you lose your way, when your heart feels heavy, when despair makes every path look the same. In those moments, the light of love guides you. It may not remove the darkness entirely, but it gives you enough brightness to take the next step. It reminds you that you are not lost, that you are not alone. It is the lamp glowing in the window when you have wandered far. It is the lighthouse calling you back to shore. Love as a light is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle, quiet, steady. It may be the hand that reaches for yours when you are afraid. It may be the voice that whispers encouragement when you doubt yourself. It may be the presence that sits beside you in silence when your world feels too heavy for words. The light does not always blind. Sometimes it glows softly, reminding you that hope is still alive. There are people who live in such deep shadows that they forget light exists. They believe their failures define them, their wounds disqualify them, their pain will never end. But when love touches them, when someone shines even a small light into their life, the shadows begin to break. That is the miracle of love. It does not only reflect who you are, it illuminates who you can be. It says, you are not finished. You are not broken beyond repair. You are more than your pain. Love as a mirror and light also challenges you. When someone loves you truly, They will not allow you to remain hidden in lies or stuck in self-doubt. They will hold you accountable to your own greatness. They will remind you of promises you made to yourself. They will reflect your potential back to you when you have forgotten it. And they will shine a light on the path you are too afraid to walk alone. This is not always comfortable, but it is always sacred. Because love does not want you smaller. Love wants you whole. And here is the truth. The mirror and the light of love are not only given to you, they are given through you. When you love someone's soul and heart, you too become a mirror and a light for them. You remind them of their worth, you show them their beauty, you reflect their strength, you illuminate their path. Love is never one-sided, it is a sacred exchange. Two souls holding mirrors for each other, two spirits lighting each other's way. It is easy to mistake flattery for love. Flattery only shows you what you want to see. Love shows you the truth. It is easy to mistake comfort for love. Comfort may let you stay in the dark. Love lights the way forward. Love is not always the gentlest path, but it is always the truest. It will never let you forget who you are, and it will never stop guiding you toward who you can be. So love as a mirror and a light is a gift beyond measure. It teaches you to see yourself honestly, to embrace yourself fully, and to rise into your potential bravely. It reminds you that you are not only a collection of flaws and mistakes, but a soul with endless worth. It shines in your darkest nights and stays with you until you find your dawn. And when you give that kind of love to another, you become part of their healing, part of their courage, part of their light. That is the power of love. It reveals, it illuminates, it transforms. Love is eternal connection. It is the thread that binds two souls beyond the reach of time, beyond the boundaries of distance, beyond even the final curtain of life itself. When love is true, when it is born not of convenience but of spirit, it does not fade with years or weaken with separation. It is not chained to the body alone, for the body is fragile. It is not dependent on circumstance, for circumstances shift like tides. It is not broken by silence, absence, or change. Love, at its deepest truth, is eternal connection, woven into the fabric of existence, surviving everything that tries to undo it. We live in a world where relationships are often measured by their duration. People say love has ended when people part, when death arrives, when mistakes drive them away. But real love does not end. It may change form. It may move from presence to memory, from voice to echo, from touch to spirit. But it does not cease to exist. Once two souls are bound in love, that connection lives in both, like a flame that cannot be extinguished. The body may go, the moment may pass, but the bond remains. Think of the people you have loved and lost, whether to distance, to time, or to death. You still carry them, don't you? They appear in your laughter, in your habits, in your sudden memories at unexpected hours. A song plays, and they are there. A phrase escapes your lips, and it belongs to them. A kindness rises in you, and you know they planted it. This is eternal connection. Love has made them part of your soul, so even in absence, they remain present. Eternal connection is what makes love sacred. It is not fragile, conditional, or temporary. It does not say, I will love you only as long as you please me. It says, I will love you, and that love will live even if the world changes, even if everything else falls apart. This kind of connection is rare, but when it comes, it leaves its mark forever. Even if the relationship shifts, even if circumstances break what once seemed unbreakable, the imprint of that love remains etched in the soul. Some believe that death ends love, that when a heart stops beating, so does the bond. But have you not felt the presence of those you have lost? Have you not spoken their names in moments of joy or pain, certain that they still listen? Have you not carried their wisdom, their lessons, their laughter in your heart long after they were gone? Death does not end love, it only changes its form. Love survives the grave because love is not of the body. Love is of the spirit, and the spirit does not die. Love as eternal connection also transcends distance. Two people can be oceans apart, living under different skies, walking on different soil, yet still feel bound to one another. Their souls still speak in silence, still sense each other in moments of need. Physical absence does not diminish spiritual presence. That is why letters, memories, and even quiet thoughts can carry so much power, because love exists beyond what is seen. It lives in the unseen, in the invisible thread that pulls one heart toward another, no matter how far. And what of time? Time is often called the enemy of love. We are told that passion fades, that bonds weaken, that people grow apart. But eternal connection does not obey time. Yes, passion shifts. Yes, people evolve, but connection endures. Think of childhood friends you have not spoken to in years. When you meet again, something familiar rises, something unchanged. Think of a love that ended long ago, yet when you recall it, the warmth still glows. Time may cover it with dust, but it cannot erase it. Eternal connection is not bound to clocks or calendars. It lives beyond them. The truth of eternal love is this: it transforms you. Once you have truly loved, you are never the same. That love alters the way you see the world, the way you treat others, the way you understand yourself. It becomes part of your identity. You carry it into every new chapter, whether you realize it or not. That is why eternal connection cannot be denied. It is not simply something you feel, it is something you become. An eternal connection is not only between lovers, it is between parent and child, friend and friend, teacher and student, human and human. Anywhere love plants itself deeply, it roots into eternity. We are connected to those we love not just for a moment, but for as long as our spirits live. This is why love is the greatest force in existence. It outlasts everything else. Beauty fades, wealth vanishes, power crumbles, even memory dims. But love persists. When two souls meet in love, they create something larger than themselves. It is not only about companionship, not only about pleasure or comfort. It is about weaving a bond that belongs to eternity. This bond cannot be undone by fear, cannot be broken by time, cannot be erased by endings. For endings belong to the world of form. Love belongs to the world of spirit, where there are no endings, only continuations. And so love as eternal connection is both a comfort and a responsibility. It comforts us because it tells us we are never truly alone. The ones we love are always with us, whether in flesh or in spirit, in presence or in memory. But it also gives us responsibility because the way we love leaves echoes. The kindness we give, the devotion we offer, the compassion we share, these do not vanish. They ripple through eternity, shaping the lives of others and the legacy of our souls. Love is eternal connection. It is the bridge between hearts, the thread between souls, the bond that outlasts time itself. It teaches us that what matters most is not what we own, not what we achieve, not even how long we live. What matters most is how deeply we love, because that is what endures. When all else is gone, when silence replaces words and stillness replaces movement, love will remain, always. So when I stand here and say, I love you, soul and heart, it is not a small declaration. It is not a phrase for passing moments. It is a vow, a truth, a song older than memory. May we all learn to love this way, not half-hearted, not surface deep, but with the wholeness of our being. Because when you love another soul and heart, you awaken your own. And when that awakening comes, you will never settle again for less than a love that is vast, enduring, and free.